Throughout a show or a comic's development, many characters are introduced that simply disappear over time or never make it out of the planning stages. Sometimes viewers don't even realize the character is gone, while other times their absence is blatantly obvious. Why were these characters left behind? Was there a reason? Today, we're going to take a look at 11 forgotten cartoon characters removed from television, and the reasoning behind their absence.
Miss Sarah Bellum from The Powerpuff Girls, 2016. In the original 1998 Powerpuff Girls series, one of the recurring characters was Miss Sarah Bellum. She was the mayor's aide and usually went above and beyond her role of assisting him, proving herself to be far more capable than him in wits, courage, and physical fitness. She was also known for always having her face cut off, only showing her body, which was very tall and shapely. Despite being a significant part of the original series and serving as a role model to the girls, Miss Bellum did not appear in the 2016 reboot of The Powerpuff Girls. She made one brief appearance in the episode Bye Bye Bellum, leaving behind a note stating that after working for the mayor for 10 years, she accumulated 1,000 vacation days and decided to use them all at once. When asked about the decision to remove her from the series, executive producer Nick Jennings told the Los Angeles Times that "We felt like Miss Bellum wasn't quite indicative of the kind of messaging we wanted to be giving out at the time, so we sort of had her move on. And that was a good choice, I think, on our part." Many fans were unhappy with her removal from the show, thinking instead the real reason was that modern parent watchdog groups demanded that she be removed for having a busty physique and seductive voice. Whatever the reason, there has been no further confirmation from Cartoon Network over the matter. It seems like Miss Bellum is on vacation leave, indefinitely.
Do you know what it is that makes a man, girls? Bellum.
What?
Miss Sarah Bellum. The brains behind the man. Are you surprised by my tears? Strong men also cry. Strong men also cry.
Colin from The Simpsons. Lisa Simpson is no stranger to love interests, from Ralph Wiggum to Milhouse to Nelson, to a plethora of one-off characters. But perhaps one of her biggest love interests was Colin from 2007's The Simpsons movie. Colin was one of the original characters created for the film and was voiced by Simpsons veteran Tress MacNeille. The two of them meet while trying to raise awareness to the citizens of Springfield about the pollution in the town's lake, which serves as the catalyst setting off the events of the film. Their moments together in the film are brief, and when the family finally returns to Springfield after being driven out, Milhouse claims that Colin had died.
Lisa, Colin's dead. But his last words were, "Milhouse, take care of Lisa. Hold her hand."
However, Colin appears right after he says that, showing that Milhouse lied poorly, and the two of them walk off holding hands. It would appear that the two of them broke up, as they aren't seen together again after the movie. Colin himself has made one appearance since the film as a background character in the episode Lisa the Drama Queen. It's unknown why he hasn't made many appearances since the film, but The Simpsons is known for its heavy use of using the reset button at the end of episodes, and the film appears to be no exception.
Rose's twin from American Dragon Jake Long. One of the major arcs featured in Disney's American Dragon Jake Long was the development of the life of Rose, an initial antagonist later turned ally and love interest. It's revealed later on in the series that the Hunts clan, the main antagonist group, kidnapped Rose as a baby due to her unique dragon birthmark and then raised her as their own. Interestingly, during this sequence we can see that Rose actually had a twin sister. Towards the end of the series, Jake is able to wish that she had never been kidnapped, allowing her to live a normal life. In the series finale, Jake is able to get a glimpse into her new life, but we never see her twin sister. It's unknown why she never made another appearance after Rose's former life was restored, as her parents made a few short appearances. Some fans believe she either died, went to boarding school, or was kidnapped by the Hunts clan instead of Rose, as a result of Jake's wish. It's possible that there was more planned for this character in future episodes, but it never happened because of the show's short time on the network. There were plans for a third and fourth season of American Dragon, but Disney ultimately pulled on those, opting instead to end the series at its second season.
Cartman's dad and sister from South Park. One of the biggest mysteries of South Park has always been who Eric Cartman's father was. So much so that even a few episodes were completely dedicated to the mystery, such as Cartman's mom is a dirty slut, 200 and 201.
Then I guess I won't tell you about your father. My father? Thought that might get your attention. You know nothing about your dad, right? I know enough. My mother is a hermaphrodite, so she is actually my father. You really still believe that garbage?
Initially, it is shown that Cartman's mother was both his mother and father due to having both male and female genitals. But later, it's revealed that his father was actually Jack Tenorman, whom he killed and fed to his son Scott Tenorman as a form of grotesque revenge. However, initial images from the unaired original pilot for South Park show that there may have been plans that were very different for Cartman's family life. In the original version of Cartman Gets an Anal Probe, creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker produced too much content at 28 minutes, whereas Comedy Central could only air 22-minute episodes. Their solution was to cut down much of the pilot, including a scene showing Cartman's family sitting down to dinner. This scene showed a generic-looking girl character who was presumably Cartman's sister, and his father. After cutting the scene, Matt and Trey were left with only his mother in the pilot, which led them to explain why his father was never there. Hence, we have our subplot from the modern series.
Bosko from the Looney Tunes. Just as Oswald the Lucky Rabbit prefaces Mickey Mouse as the original icon of Walt Disney, there existed a character before Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck that filled the role of Looney Tunes mascot. This character was Bosko, who appeared in the short The Talk Inc. Kid in 1929 and was created by ex-Disney animators Hugh Hardman and Rudolph Ising. Bosko's initial look was based on that of Felix the Cat and appeared as somewhat of an anthropomorphic animal. However, his personality was based on blackface characters from popular minstrel and vaudeville shows from the 1930s. In 1933, Harmon and Ising broke off from Warner Brothers, keeping the rights to Bosko to themselves. Eventually, the two of them began working at MGM and continued making Bosko cartoons. While he initially appeared the same as in his Looney Tunes incarnation, he eventually was redesigned to appear as an identifiable black boy. After only a handful of cartoons featuring this version, the character was discontinued. Since then, Bosko has made a few surprise appearances in Tiny Toons Adventures and Animaniacs, appearing as a dog-like creature. He also made a cameo appearance in Space Jam and a background portrait. Warner Brothers contains the current rights to all Bosko films and potentially allowed the character to appear in Tiny Toons and Animaniacs in order to distance the character from its previous offensive incarnation. Either way, the character has not made a reappearance since then and is unlikely to do so, given his history.
Charlotte Braun from Peanuts. Charlotte Braun was a very minor character from the original Peanuts comics, making her debut on November 30th, 1954. She was initially intended to be a sort of female counterpart to Charlie Brown, despite being obnoxious, dominating, and loudmouthed. She repeatedly goes out of her way to deny any similarities to Charlie Brown, much to his annoyance. Charlotte Braun lasted less than half a year in the Peanuts series, with her last appearance being on February 1st, 1955. The reasoning behind her removal, according to creator Charles M. Schulz, was because he simply ran out of ideas for her storyline. However, in 2000, more information regarding the retirement of Charlotte Braun was revealed. It turns out that Schulz received a lot of negative feedback and letters about the character, with one in particular asking him to remove the character permanently. The letter came from Elizabeth Swaim, to which Schulz actually responded, along with a rather interesting sketch of Charlotte. The letter reads, "Dear Miss Swaim, I am taking your suggestion regarding Charlotte Braun and will eventually discard her. If she appears anymore, it will be in strips that were already completed before I got your letter, or because someone writes in saying that they like her. Remember, however, that you and your friends will have the death of an innocent child on your conscience. Are you prepared to accept such responsibility? Thanks for writing, and I hope that future releases will please you. Sincerely, Charles M. Scholes. At the bottom left corner of the letter, there is a sketch of Charlotte with an axe in her head. It's unlikely that she actually died like this, as it would have been immensely dark for the lighthearted Peanuts series. Rather, it was more likely that it was intended as a joke. Nevertheless, Charlotte never made another appearance. The letter now sits at the United States' Library of Congress. 555-95472 from Peanuts. Continuing with our review into forgotten Peanuts characters, we'll take a look at the minor character 555-95472, more commonly referred to as simply 5. His unusual name is the result of his father's depressing view on the prevalence of numbers in modern society, choosing to name each of his children after a number. Rather than a protest, it is simply his way of giving in to the trend, with their last name being their zip code, the same zip code of the area where Charles Schulz was living at the time he created the character. Many viewers remember 5 as one of the children dancing in the iconic A Charlie Brown Christmas. He appears in many famous Peanuts films, usually as a silent character. 5 began appearing less and less in the comics, starting off as a background character until he disappeared completely after May 22nd, 1983. It's unknown why he disappeared, as unlike with Charlotte Braun, there were no overwhelming negative reactions to the character. 5 made a brief cameo in the 2015's The Peanuts movie, where his name appears in a list of test scores.
Sparky from Fairly OddParents. In 2008, Nickelodeon introduced a new main character to the Fairly OddParents with Poof the Fairy Baby at the beginning of Season 6. The character was introduced as a way to freshen up the series, as shows usually do whenever they begin to feel a bit stagnant. Poof was able to keep things fresh for a little while, but soon enough, a new character was introduced to freshen things up once again. This character was none other than Sparky the Fairy Dog, introduced at the beginning of Season 9.
Hey, what about this guy? He's super cute and friendly.
You don't want that one. He's not too bright.
That's not a nice thing to say about the dog.
I was warning the dog about you.
Sick boy. Speak.
What do you want me to say? I know a lot of words, because I just ate a dictionary.
Sparky was first revealed at the 2012 San Diego Comic-Con by creator Butch Hartman. Hartman explained that he really enjoys adding new characters because it really expands the show. Timmy Turner loves animals, I obviously love animals, and we don't have magical animals on the show. Sparky was met with almost immediate negativity by fans and critics alike, claiming the character to be unbearably obnoxious and pointless. Sparky appeared frequently through Season 9 as a main character, but did not return for Season 10, similarly to Poof, who only made a single appearance through the whole season. According to Maddie Taylor, voice actor for Sparky, Nickelodeon executives removed the character due to negative reactions from fans and the network. It's unknown what happened to the character in-universe, or if it will ever be explained. Season 10 premiered with the debut of yet another character, a girl named Chloe who Timmy is forced to share his fairies with. We'll have to wait and see if this character will follow the same fate as Sparky and Poof.
Iggy from Hey Arnold. One of the most recognizable background characters in Hey Arnold is Iggy, often referred to as the coolest kid in Arnold's class. However, his popularity was put at stake in his first and only Focus episode, Arnold Betrays Iggy, infamously revered as the worst episode in the series. In the episode, Arnold discovers that Iggy wears bunny pajamas and finds it hilarious. He makes Arnold promise not to tell anyone at school about this, to which Arnold agrees. Through some unfortunate events where some of the other kids guess what Arnold thinks is so funny, the entire school finds out Iggy's secret.
Iggy wears bunny pajamas? The kind with feet and floppy ears? No, of course not. I didn't say that. Oh man, this is unbelievable.
Iggy is convinced that Arnold broke his promise and despises him. Arnold tries to make it up to Iggy, but he refuses to forgive him. The only way he'll forgive him is if he does the walk of shame in the bunny suit. Arnold goes through with the grueling walk, which Iggy eventually feels guilty over. Arnold becomes bigger towards Iggy afterwards, and the two aren't seen as friends anymore. Fans and critics alike universally despise this episode due to the way Stinky Sid and Iggy are portrayed in a very negative light. It is viewed as a very mean-spirited episode when compared to the more uplifting tone of the rest of the series. As a result, Iggy was never seen as a main character again, being relegated to a background character for the rest of the series. He is slated to appear in the upcoming Jungle movie, so we'll have to wait and see if they're willing to give him another chance as a non-background character.
Now I wonder where he is. Where is he? Now where is that Roosevelt Franklin?
Franklin from Sesame Street. Roosevelt Franklin was a Muppet on Sesame Street from 1970 to 1975. His name was clearly a simple reversal of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. He even went to a school named Roosevelt Franklin Elementary School, where he ended up teaching the class more often than not. Roosevelt was considered one of the main characters of Sesame Street in its early years, appearing in many episodes, books, and even getting his own record album. He was, however, dropped from the cast due to letters complaining about negative African American stereotypes. The character was scrutinized for either being too black or not black enough, with viewers citing the way Roosevelt was presented as an African American puppet, yet spoke more like a white individual. There were also complaints that the producers of Sesame Street were ignoring the fact that traditionally black verbiage and speak exist, instead presenting black characters as speaking more like the white middle class. As a result of these criticisms, the character was retired, only making further appearances in books and a single cameo in a 2014 episode.
Porygon from Pokemon. The case of Porygon from the Pokemon series is an interesting one, as it's a whole species of Pokemon that has been banned from appearing in the long-running television series, including its two evolutions, Porygon 2 and Porygon Z. Porygon originally appeared in the 38th episode of the original Pokemon anime, titled Electric Warrior Porygon, which aired on December 16, 1997. There is no official English name for the episode, as it was never aired outside of Japan. In the episode, the artificial Pokemon is shown to be created by a scientist named Dr. Akihabara. This episode is infamous for causing over 600 children in Japan to suffer from epileptic seizures and vomiting, with many being hospitalized. The scene in question is a 4-second long instance where Pikachu uses an electric attack on a group of vaccine missiles. The explosion causes the screen to flash red and blue in a strobe-like effect, causing the seizures. Interestingly enough, the actual scene that caused all these seizures didn't feature Porygon at all, but rather Pikachu. Given that the episode was centered around Porygon entirely, it seems more than likely that the species was banned to avoid any further connection to the episode. Pikachu is also the series' mascot, and banning him would be rather difficult and unlikely. The episode was broadcasted only once, and never received any sort of home media release. The show then went on hiatus for 4 months. The episode caused all Japanese television shows to air a disclaimer before the program for years afterwards, asking viewers to not sit too close to the television and to only watch in a brightly lit room.